Welcome to the Unfiltered Path podcast, where we explore life's journey without the constraints of filters. In a world saturated with highlight reels, we dive deep into the true essence of individual experiences, offering listeners an uncensored glimpse into the triumphs, struggles, and transformative moments that define us. Our mission is to provide hope and inspire resilience and remind you that every path, no matter how windy or rocky, can lead to the growth and enlightenment. Join us as we navigate the uncharted territories of truth. And to be moved, be inspired, and discover you're not alone on this unfiltered journey of life. Hello, everyone. My name is Danielle. I'm the owner of Aerial Jade. I'm an aerialist. That's a fancy term for performing suspended in the air. Essentially, I'm the bird of the circus. And I'm also an educator, so I teach other people how to do it too. And we are here with my co-host.
What is up, everybody? My name is Graham Duval. I am the owner of Valued Productions. My company works to produce and implement video marketing strategies proven to make you more successful with your business, helping turn strangers into clients using videos. Joined with my co-host today.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Trinity Baker, mindset coach, motivational speaker, and leader in the personal development world. I help take my clients from survival mode to thrival, which looks different for everyone. You can find me at thetrinitybaker.com. We are joined with our amazing guest today. Miss Deja, will you introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm Deja Lett, and I'm a realtor and team owner of the Top Homes Group powered by Keller Williams Realty. And I've been a real estate agent since 2003, and I run a successful real estate team, and I service buyers and sellers of residential real estate in Southern Maine and also in Tampa Bay area, Florida.
That's smart.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's quite the connection between Maine and Florida.
Well, I lived in Florida, and I could give you all kinds of connections. That's incredibly smart.
Thank you. I appreciate
We
that.
share an electricity company with Florida because the clients are often the same.
What is that? A shared electricity company?
Mm-hmm. They're like
What is
shared
that?
waters between Florida and Maine.
Because there's so many people that live in Maine and also live in Florida. That's crazy.
Yep.
Yeah.
You've been a realtor for 22 years. What did you do before this industry?
Actually, I've been in the real estate industry since 1997. I started as an assistant to the #1 real estate agent in Key West, Florida. I actually lived there. I was a military wife at the time. So I really got to know the business on like the administrative side, how to run it, how to come up with new and efficient ways to do things, process systems. So I learned the business on that side of it. And then I moved back to Maine in 2000. And I want to say, I think it was Union Oil Company. They're not around anymore. From like 9 to 2 o'clock. And I had my 2 older sons at the time. And so it was just like perfect mom hours. And I remember the lady out back saying that she made $19 an hour and they had started me at like 14 or 15. And I was like, oh, she's been there for 20 years and she's making $19 an hour. I was like, so I just started doing the math. They say the path and the math in life. Like if you want to create like a path to something, it's in the math. And so Expedia at the time was fairly new. And I remember playing around and thinking, and at the time, by the way, I was also pregnant with my now youngest son. So I remember thinking to myself, if I ever want to take my whole family on a vacation, what would that look like? So I just went into Expedia and I typed in, like, want to take my family on this trip, me and my 3 sons. I was a single mom, and the amount of money that it was going to take us on a vacation was like, I could go on one vacation every like 7 or 8 years where I was at that time. Then I thought about buying a house, and I just kind of did like this math of like, how much money would I need to make to have like this life that I'm envisioning for myself and my kids. And I knew I couldn't stay where I was. I knew I needed to find a path that was going to allow me to basically make the most money possible, but be present for my kids. Like that was a big deal for me. I wanted to show up to like, all the events, the sporting events. I wanted to be able to volunteer. I also wanted to be able to be home with my kids when they were sick. So that was actually the real trigger too that had me leave what I was doing and decide to check real estate out in Maine because I had already been as an assistant in Florida. But now I was like, what can I do to get licensed here in Maine? My middle son had gotten injured and had to miss a week of school. And I remember the oil company saying, well, can't your mom watch them or grandparents or and so all these people that they were suggesting should watch my son while he wasn't doing well also had jobs. And so I realized I did not want somebody telling me or making me feel bad that I wanted to be there for my child when they weren't feeling well.
Amen to that whole story. Can I get a bow? The whole time I was just like, don't nod your head too much, Danielle. Yes.
It's really hard. I mean, and so what I thought about with real estate is it's not that I always intended to be busy and have appointments every day. That was always the goal. But I also knew starting out that a lot of what went into the beginning of building this business was going to be a lot of foundational work, like entering people's names into databases and learning how to systematically follow up with people and talk to people. So I knew I was going to spend a lot of time doing that before I was like necessarily having several appointments a day. And so I knew with that kind of schedule that if I did have to cancel something or, something came up in my world, one of two things could happen. I could find another real estate agent to cover the showing for me or the appointment for me, or I could reschedule it. And I was disappointing maybe that one person, but when you're working for a company and like every time I had to call out, it was like I possibly was disrupting like this whole entire day for people, and it made me feel just not good. So I wanted to be responsible for myself.
What's
So one of the things, go ahead, sorry.
What's cool too is what you just said, like you're actually not even disappointing that one person. This is at least what I found is the people that I attract to my business, whether they be clients or business partners or collaboration partners, they understand because they're also like they value that, right? Like I'm going to work with you. It's because of your values. That is one of your values. So you're certainly not going to disappoint me when you
I never really have had anybody. I can't think of a time where I've had to reschedule, which honestly hasn't been often. I mean, and since I've been licensed in Maine since 2003, I don't think I've had to like cancel very often. I mean, maybe a couple of times. I mean, it's been nothing but yes, you're absolutely right. I have never had a person that I was working with be upset with me for either rescheduling or having somebody cover for me. They were grateful that I could do that, and very understanding of the fact that I had young kids. So that's how I started my real estate journey. Really was just thinking about the quality of life that I wanted to provide for my family and how could I afford to do that. I didn't have a college degree. I did go to college and I did have some college education, but I didn't have a degree. So I thought, how can I do this? And what's really cool about working for yourself is you really do truly get to see how valuable you are because your bank account grows to the extent that you do and the value that you put out there for your clients. And so there just was no limit and still is no limit to the amount of money that I can earn in my business because it's really about me, what I'm bringing to the table, my mindset, my attitude about my business, how I take care of my clients, my expertise, all of that. So it was really exciting to kind of watch my business grow and evolve over time.
That's such a key point. One of the things that's been resonating with me lately is, they always talk about like manifesting and like manifesting things and all this stuff, but it's like, that's not what it is. You manifest to the level, like you said, of who you are. And so if you're not at that level of who you are to be, running multi-million-dollar businesses and stuff like that, then, yeah, I just really resonated with that.
I love what you said. If you want to create the path, do the math.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I have a student that's the math professor, and I'm like, in my head when you said that, I was like, remember to tell her that. Remember to tell her that.
That's really cool that you're a math professor too. Like, what aren't you over there? Holy goodness. Math professor?
No, my client, not me. But I'm like, I want to tell her that you said that because that's like a gem, like a little nugget of funny.
It's one of the colorisms, I guess you could say. It's something that my company's taught me is like the path is in the math. And
I love that.
As soon as I heard it, I was like, oh my gosh, this applies to so many things in my life.
It makes me a little less intimidated about the administrative side of business, which oftentimes is what we don't want to do, especially as an artist. I'm either all business or all artists, and this is the first time in my life where I'm responsible for all of it. And so it's hard for me to check in and out sometimes. And you just kind of brought wisdom to why we should definitely love building the foundation constantly. Yeah. And I love that.
I think too that it's more than just like math and numbers too. It's like the path is in the math of like, how can you plan something, and you know what I mean? Like there's a way to like do an equation of building a funnel just from my side, or like videos. There's so much to an equation that I think it's also more than just the numbers of math,
definitely,
which is really cool.
Can literally stand for a lot. So like I'm looking at my whiteboard, and this is something that Graham taught me recently, which has been huge and plays right into this story, is like I did the math this past week. I kind of like recreated my vision for my business and where I'm going and how I'm making an impact, and also how I'm bringing in revenue, right? So math is all kinds of things. The math of how we're going to make an impact, right? So Graham taught me that like the way we make an impact is many different ways. We always want to have like the revenues of impact in a way. Mm-hmm. And so like I make an impact with clients on full coaching programs. Like that's where they get the giant transformation that is just like literally on fire in every area of their life. And then I make an impact in a smaller way with customized coaching packages for people who are already in the personal development world, have done a lot of growth and healing. They don't necessarily need that full-blown huge program. And then I make the impact. And so when you do the math, like with courses and like the other lower impact things, not lower impact, they're all impactful, but that is also the math that we have to do. We have to do the revenue math. We also have to do the impact math, right? Mm-hmm. And Deja, I know that you do this, and Danielle and Graham, you obviously both do this too, is like, where can you make an impact? And sometimes it doesn't always match up to the math, but then it always leads to the math of the business, right? So like even the go and like network, right? So even networking and getting the word out, planting the seeds about what we do, that's in the math. That's still part of the equation.
Absolutely.
Well, it's like multiple forms of income, but you don't necessarily see everything as money, because they a lot of it's who who the opportunities you have, a lot of when giving back always kind of translates to another opportunity somehow. I do look at it that way. I also have been detaching from the word manifest, and one, because it's used a lot, but two, it kind of minimizes the need for alignment. I just think of alignment like we're like I'm in alignment for my baking out to look like this, but I'm home every time my kids are sick. That's valuable. That's one of the funnels of value. Funnels of value is how I would look at it. It is also math. I love math too, and seeing things from that point of view and not being so intimidated by it, because math is unbiased. And that can be really hard for people.
It takes emotions out of things.
Like, and you kind of need that when you're so passionate about your work.
Yeah.
I do it. Or it doesn't always work out to either their benefit or your benefit if it's off. Yeah.
And I get that. I mean, I definitely think, like, I don't want to ever sound like just like emotionless, but when I say, but it's like the numbers typically and things don't lie. If you follow like a certain thing, you're going to reach, it's just like if you reduce the amount of calories you're eating, you're trying to lose weight. If you follow the plan and you follow the math of the plan, you're probably going to successfully lose weight. But like you were saying, it's like, when I think about being in alignment with things about myself, or the word even manifest, I also look at so many different parts of my business, as far as like when I said earlier about your business grows to the extent that you do. I don't know about any of you, but I've had imposter syndrome many times throughout my career where I forget who I am. I forget like how smart I am, how powerful I am, how educated I am, and how much of an expertise I am in many different aspects of my business. So when I take these training classes and stuff, that is kind of that coming into an alignment, and so much as manifesting the person that I want to become, but the training helps me become that person that now attracts that stuff, right? So
Yeah.
I know what you mean by the word manifest. It does feel like it's overused, but I don't think you can manifest
What
what
you're
you're
not
not
aligned
being.
with.
Yeah.
You're not
Right.
right.
No.
Yeah, you can't do that. And
You
so
can't.
I named my company years ago. There's a class that we take at Keller Williams called Bold, and it stands for Business Objective Life by Design. So your business objective is to create your life by design. So some people sell real estate because they absolutely are just love houses. Some people sell real estate because they love people. Some people sell real estate because they like the process. Some people sell real estate because they actually want to fund their perfect life over here. So it's not necessarily that they even really love any part about real estate, but they realize like, hey, this path can get me to here. So there's a bunch of bold laws that we had over the years of taking this class. Like I've taken it like 7 times, and it's definitely a mindset class, but one of them was be, do, have. And so that's what I ended up naming my LLC, because it basically stands for like, who do I have to become? What do I have to do to have that, whatever it is, that life, that dream, that car, that house, And so I'm literally taking that to heart all these years, is like I'm constantly becoming a better version of myself. And it's not just the becoming, is because I'm doing the things. Like
Yeah.
I'm doing, like what would an athlete that runs marathons do to train? You know what I mean? And then I become that person, and I do those things so that I can have those results. And I've really taken that to heart over the years. I love that little saying. It just has really helped me.
I think the premise of manifesting is fabulous. Know what you want, believe it's possible, and do everything that you can, mind, body, and soul, to get there and become who you need to be to
You
attract.
have to feel it. You
But
have to feel what that person
exactly,
is,
right? But I think that when we manifest in a certain way, like we look at this exact result and we want that exact thing, we're shutting down the possibilities of actually attracting what we're meant to attract, which it might be that thing and it might not. So what I love to teach is it's that or something better. It's that or something better. So you're believing in that. I'm believing
like
I can go on vacation 2 times a year, or it's something better. And I have no idea what the better could be. It could be 10 times a year. It could be living where I want to go on vacation, right? I have no idea what that is. And then, so my mom was a real estate agent my entire life. After she got done daycare, after I was old enough, Keller Williams, she worked for Keller Williams for a long time. And so I know how powerful Keller Williams is in their personal development. Value them as a company because I know how much they teach. And their philosophy is you're only going to grow as much as you're growing. Your business is only going to grow as much as you are growing. So I love what you do, Deja.
I watch people hit like a ceiling of achievement a lot in real estate, and usually it's the ones that just haven't tapped into any of the training. And I think specifically it has to start with mindset training. I think that one's the bigger one, and that's Keller Williams is known for, and number one in like training across all industries because of all these different trainings that they have.
Well, their business
life.
Yeah, their business philosophy is to teach you the power of personal development, which is smart because you will not grow a business unless you grow.
Well, they teach you how to run your real estate business as it should be, scary sometimes, I'm not going to lie. And when you were saying earlier, Danielle, like it's like you're the artist. I feel like an artist too. I love to create things for my business. I love to, I love to create systems and processes and, and I get excited about this stuff. But I'm also actively in the field. So I also still go out and show the properties, go on the listing appointments. And so I'm coming to that space in my career where I'm like, how do I kind of shift myself to working on the business, helping everybody on my team grow, where I slowly come out of production all the time so that I can actually like really grow and develop other people. That I would be super excited about. I mean, that's kind of where I'm moving to over the course of the next few years. What I'll be talking to Trinity about is kind of like just coming up with that plan as to how do I get out of production on a regular basis and just help my team achieve success. And I can work on the business.
I think you're well on your way because you said your art is building the system. So right there, that tells me that that's probably where you should be because you view that as your art. And so that's where your space is. Like that's your happy place. And it can evolve and change, but it was so evident when you said that you can definitely see where you're going for sure.
I mean, it's like I find joy in all of that and helping people like with their real estate needs. So I don't want to ever feel like I'm not coming across as that. But I do like to develop the stuff that I think makes a good experience for the consumer or the client. Like that stuff makes me happy is to take somebody through that process of buying or selling and having them walk away from that and not feel that they just did something so major. I mean, it's a major life event.
I think
I don't want them to feel stressed out about it. I want them to feel like it just happened. So
I think it speaks to the level of entrepreneurship too, because it's like most entrepreneurs, they start at a place where it's like they're down in the field, in the trenches, doing the stuff for their clients, getting it done. Then it's like, okay, then they maybe build a team and they can step back a little bit. Then it's like, okay, how are they showing people how to do the thing that they did? And I think there's all of us in this room right now are in very similar positions with that, where it's like we've all, been there doing the deal, and it's now how are we exploring these different avenues that like how can we show, and it speaks to what you were saying, Trinity, earlier about impact. It's the different level of impact that we're having, and you still get to help with that experience, Deja, by creating more people to have that other experience, or more systems and processes to teach whatever in that experience. I think that's powerful.
Entrepreneurship and I will say particularly real estate is not for the faint of heart. It's just not, it's, you have to be willing to work way more hours than you ever would have worked at your 9 to 5 Monday to Friday job. You're working nights and weekends and, could be 70 hours, could be 100 hours that week. But I think when you're building a business that you love, like it doesn't ever really feel like work. I mean, like I said earlier, I feel like I'm working on like an art. When I create something for my business, like sometimes I'll look at a clock, I'll be like, well, I've been here for 4 or 5 hours working on this and I just didn't even realize it. And it doesn't mean like, but when I was working for somebody else, gosh, I'd be watching that clock to get done work. I don't ever want to be done with my work because I love it.
Yeah.
I feel like
that's the flow that we all should be striving for. Like that's what I loved. I don't know, something's happening in 2025. Every single client of mine is a business owner, an entrepreneur. So I'm just following that flow personally, or professionally, I should say. But that's what I love teaching people is how to flow, because we all are here with these visions and dreams and skills and everything that makes it so that we can do what we're doing. How do you flow even more? Like your business should not feel like work. And when it does feel like work, something has to shift because it feels like work. It's no different than going to corporate America.
Exactly. Yeah, no, you have to enjoy it for sure.
She recently read a book and she messaged me, you have to read this. And it was that, what is it? That art is everything?
The Creative Act. And it literally is a book. It's a book that it talks about every single thing is art.
Mhm.
We are all artists in our own unique ways.
Mhm.
And I love how the book is structured too, because it's like, I don't know, 1 or 2 pages that you can read at a time, and they don't like
I love
connect
that.
each other, right? So you can just like grab it, read it, get that inspiration. And I think what I get from it is like these little individual messages that I need to hear that day. But it's always a consistent message that you are an artist. Today, you are obligated to step into your art. What is that?
Mm.
It's true.
Interesting.
Everything is art. And then once you identify what you see as art, that's where you should be
Yeah.
putting your time in. That's why when you said that, it was so like sharp for me to hear you say that. I was like, oh, that's where she's growing, because like if you view that as art, then that's where you're gonna shine. You know?
I definitely just came back from this conference that I was at for Keller Williams, like on fire. And I love that. I love going to get what we call like a booster shot. Like you go and you just get surrounded by like-minded people, people that are doing business like on a level that is just so beyond comprehension in so many ways. I mean, there's some agents that teams are selling 2,500 homes a year, and they're in several markets. They're like in 3 or 4 different states. They've expanded that way. And I'm just like blown away by it. But I come back and I'm on fire. And what's good about me is I'm actionable, meaning like I will come back and implement at least a couple things like out the gate. And so I did. I came back and I made a couple videos myself. Obviously, Graham helps me with tons of my videos and appreciate that. And so I have learned so much more the power of video. But one thing that I feel like I don't give myself enough credit for is the things that I know that are smaller little details to a transaction that actually matter. And so one of the videos I just made the other day was 5 things that you should consider before buying a condo. And I just really wanted to touch on the 5 things that come up like all the time. And so one of them, a big one, just to touch on it quickly, is pets. People will want to live in a condo association and they have pets. So before I even show somebody the condo, I will get the rules and regulations and figure out what pet policy is. Because the last thing I want to do is bring like a buyer to a condo that they fall in love with and they can't even bring their furry family member with them, So there's just little things about condos along the way. And so I made a video about that the other day. I also came back and came up with my podcast name that I'm going to be doing. So just little things that I get to. And so the podcast is going to be real talk, real life, and real estate. And it's because like I realized over the years, like I'm still me. I have this business that takes a lot of my time that I absolutely love. But in the meantime, I've raised 3 kids. I've gone through a battle with breast cancer. I've been a victim of domestic violence. I mean, I've just been through like some stuff throughout my whole entire career. And it's like there's just this thing inside of me, this like perseverance, this grit inside of me that I do not stop. And I keep going. And I think it's because I literally am that passionate about what I've built over the years and what I'm doing. And I think it's just time for me to start talking about it, talking about the business that I built, the things that I know about real estate, and sharing like some of the little like battles along the way that, got in the way of, because people realize like there's no straight path here.
No. I know that.
This.
Yeah, exactly. I know that for the longest time, like I was very business facing forward, like talk about marketing and like business and videos and like all that stuff. But then like we did this podcast and like it's opened up the door to like share that next level and like peel back the layers a little bit, like have people hear about my story and like where I've come from and like some of those struggles that you talk about and like the shit that excuse my French, that I have gone through, you know what I mean? But like,
and I think the more that we're honest about that, that's what sets us apart, right? Anyone will hire a videographer, a real estate agent, a coach, an aerialist, but what sets you apart is your journey. But society teaches us that, oh my gosh, don't share that.
Don't share it.
Right? Like, don't.
You're empowering other people when you share your stuff.
There,
like when I was going through breast cancer, I started to share like some of the things that I was going through. And I literally was getting messages like daily about people asking me or people saying, I just got diagnosed too. And, like, how did you get through this, that, and the other thing? And I had to tell people a lot of it was my mindset. I
yeah.
would say like 90 to 95% of me pushing through my cancer treatments because they were rough. I mean, they were hard on my body, they were hard on my mind. Was I just told myself, I remember them saying, like, these are side effects you're going to have going through chemo. And I was like, yeah, I'm not doing that. I don't have time for that. And I remember my oncologist being like, well, but I'm preparing you. Like, these are the things. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm not even listening to any of that. And when I tell you, I did not get sick, not the way that they said I would. I would feel a little bit tired after chemo for like a day or two, but that was it. And I
Power of
wasn't
mind.
kidding.
That's the power of mindset. That's why I'm so passionate about it. And I was just talking to a client this morning about depression. Depression is the same exact example. Okay. There is scientific research to show that you should have these side effects from this treatment. Depression is an actual diagnosis, and it can show the chemistry in your brain of what happens when you have depression. But mindset will literally take you out of it. It's control and the power that you give it. So if we say, I have depression, you are giving it all of your power. If you say, I have cancer and I'm going through treatment and I'm going to be sick, that's what's going to happen. We talk about manifesting. That's manifesting in the opposite direction. You can always choose to manifest in the other direction. I'm not going to be as sick, or it's going to be or it's going to be better, right? I was going to be strong. I was going to be healthy, and I was healing my body. That's what I was going through. I was healing my body through the treatments that I was going through. And that was it. And that was my mindset. And it wasn't like that for like a week or two. It was like diagnosis to treatment plan. There was a dark period, but it was just, I felt yucky being there. I was like, I don't belong here in this stinking thinking. Like, this is just it's not even working for me. I'm like, I have a success story here, and that's what I'm going to focus on, and I'm going to heal. And so that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to heal, and I'm going to do it my way. And I'm going to make up my rules as I go. And that's exactly what I did. And they kept telling me I was their little unicorn, as I was going through these treatments. But it was my mindset. Once it switched and I made up once I basically flipped that switch on to this is how it's going to be, there was no other way. There was no other option. That was it. And I stayed with it. And that's literally what I did with my anxiety and my depression and my addictions. I was just like, you know what, my tests, all of these tests will be my testimony. The mess will always be my message. And that is what I'm going to do. And then I'm going to teach others how to do that. And then that's the same thing with entrepreneurship and business ownership too, is like, once you make that decision, it works. You gotta make a decision.
Well, that's what people buy. They buy what you're doing for yourself. You know what I mean? And that's what I get all the time is like, people are like, I want what you're doing. I want that thing. You know what I mean? I see you pop up all the time. You know what I mean? It's like, and so if you're doing it for yourself, that's the way to share it.
Yeah,
Health and wellness standpoint, I'm pretty sharp with my health and wellness opinions. And in regards to cancer specifically, cancer is a signal to the body that it's healing itself. Something was already sick.
Yeah.
Cancer is the symptom of your body healing itself. So to have a mindset that it's killing you is just not actually what's happening from just a health and wellness standpoint. It's literally your body's trying to heal itself from something else, and it's usually energy based, and people trip over. And so, and then the stuff we eat and environmental, of course.
Yes.
So
I think it was environmental, and I was going through a lot of emotional trauma, probably for the years leading up to that. And I 100% believe that I brought that into my life. Like, I really do. So I was like, well, if my body can make it, my body can cure it, my body can get rid of it. And that was my mindset too.
That's brilliant.
I felt like I brought it and thought it into my world, and I was like, this needs to go. This needs to go.
In high school, my grandmother and aunt died from breast cancer. And then when I was in college, my mother had breast cancer. And I got to see the mindset difference between like with my own life. And I dropped out of high school to take care of my help take care of my family. And then I ended up dropping out of business school to help take care of my family. And my mother's mindset was absolutely one that she like didn't want to be. She was an alcoholic at the time and like very just low vibrational living. She didn't have much of a relationship with me. And through her healing herself through breast cancer, she never drank again.
I
She,
don't drink anymore either.
like and even me, like I've gone through things where when I pivot from business world back to art, there's always some grand entrance of self.
Yes.
And like I've really come to terms with it and accepted about myself. It really is a full round. And then, understanding foods and things like that. Like my aunt and grandmother drank Pepsi like every day.
Yeah.
But they never did drugs and stuff. And so my mom, I think, felt shame. I remember when they were dying, my mom was like, but I'm the one that did all the drugs and partying and stuff, and I'm not the one sick. And then in my obsessive research in my 20s, I was like, well, cow's milk and Pepsi can get you there.
Yeah.
And I don't know why that's being ignored, but it's true. And, so you just really summed up like all of that accountability and ability to heal itself. You really just summed that up because a lot of it too is like realizing, like this is energy. Somehow I've brought this on, whether it be genetically or how I'm consuming things. And then, but it is the body's signal that it's healing from something else.
I'm trying really hard to keep shouldn't say trying, I'm intending, but to keep my mindset in the right place, because I think we, like this time of year, I think a lot of us struggle with like the winter blues. And, so when I catch myself thinking kind of like not in alignment with what I want for my life and myself, like I am literally like, stop. Now, like I'm literally saying that out loud to myself these days because I'm starting working with Trinity today. And I signed up with her a couple of weeks ago just because I was having a bit of like, just that talk that I'm like, okay, this is not in alignment with where I want to be. So now when I'm journaling about like what I do want, what I want in my life, because I'm trying to get in touch with those feelings of what it feels like to have a coaching business for my real estate. Like I want to coach other real estate agents, right? I want to know what it feels like to be that coach. So when I write in my journal, I'm writing like it's happening because I need to feel those feelings because that's the manifestation piece, I think, is you have to know what it feels like to be in that space in order to kind of create it in your world.
Most definitely. I think that's amazing.
Vibrational because everything already exists. So what you got to do is how am I getting to the field that it has that does exist. So it's not manifesting for me makes it feel like somebody's building something. You're not. It already exists. God already provided. It is in existence. So I need to get on that playing field, that vibration,
get around the people
that are
doing it.
To the people you are definitely a real estate coach for sure. I love that I get to see this like unravel because or come together whatever way because
it's part of the plan. That is part of the plan.
So good.
For sure. Because it's your art. That makes me so happy. Like art wins.
That's a great line right there. Art wins. And I hope our listeners can take some motivation from that and use this as that, catalyst or guide to maybe go bring that whatever they're in right now to fruition or take a look at where they're at and make some changes. And so, and then bring it back, art wins. What's that passion that you're working on? So I appreciate you all for listening. Deja, I appreciate you joining us today. My name is Graham. I'm the owner of Valued Productions. You can find me on social media at Valued Productions or the website valuedproductions.com. That's VALUD productions.com. Joined with my co-host today,
Hey everyone, Trinity Baker, mindset coach, motivational speaker, and your leader in the personal development world. As Deja mentioned, if you are feeling out of alignment with where you want to be and where you're going, I am your girl. Let's get you there. We all have these visions and these dreams and these desires for a reason. And if you're not stepping into them, you're not on the right path. So let's do the math and get you on the right path. You can find me at thetrinitybaker.com and on all your favorite social media platforms, The Trinity Baker, joined with my co-hosts.
I love this podcast because we get so many gems and sayings that I'm always intrigued and inspired. My name is Danielle. I'm the owner of Ariel Jade. You can find me on arieljade.com. You can live chat with me. I'm on most media platforms. Some of them are as Ariel Jade Art. I lead with motherhood. Of course, I'm an athlete, but I definitely package it as an artist. And so if that's something you're into, please follow me. And we are with our guest today.
Hi, Deja Lett, and I'm the broker and the owner of the Top Homes Group, powered by Keller Williams Realty. And I can be found at tophomesgroup.com or on social media at Top Homes Group. And I am your real estate expert in residential real estate, working with buyers and sellers in Southern Maine. And I would say my new tagline for my upcoming podcast is keeping it real in life and real estate. So my goal is to inspire and help you achieve your real estate goals. So.
Love it.
Deja.
Awesome, Deja.
Hi.
So awesome. Appreciate you joining us today. And
Thank you
make
for having
sure,
me.
yeah, great conversation. And all our listeners, make sure you go like, subscribe, follow, all that good stuff where you listen to all your different podcasts on YouTube. Hit the notification bell if that's where you're checking us out. And we'll see you all next week on the Unfiltered Path podcast.